How's it going, Pharma Life family?
Hello.
Hello.
How you doing? Here we have Mary with us. And wow, and Mary's been our chef for the 2011-12 season. She's been here for what, about 6 months?
Yeah.
She's phenomenal.
Unbelievable vegetarian, vegan, and raw food chef. Absolutely versed in all three. Amazing. We first met her. It was really kind of an interesting story, right? How we met.
Yeah.
Because it was sort of a friend of a friend, Stephen and Susan, our Scottish friends, came down here and they met us, and then they met you at Tree of Life, right?
Yeah.
They met you at Tree of Life, and then
they said you gotta go there.
yeah, they said you gotta go to Pharma Life.
Yes.
For chef, and here you are.
Well, and just from looking at them, I wanted to be more like them.
Yeah.
And they said they came here and thought it was magic, and that I belonged. So I said, okay, I'm following that lead.
I'm just so glad it happened, because it's been really magical. I mean, not only have we've gotten to know you on just a cooking level, but on a personal level, and there's just like a bond. You're like a family member now. But we'll move up a little bit.
Amen to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about how in the world you got so good at being a vegetarian and vegan and raw chef. You have an unbelievable, when you speak to the retreats, people are captivated by your journey and your path in life. So touch upon some of those points a little bit, some of your journey and your path in life, and how it's made you an amazing chef.
All right. Well, we talked about that last year. I was at the Tree of Life, and I was also at the Mount Madonna Center in California, where I further honed the skills of vegetarian and healing through food, and believing in the healing properties of food, and really integrating that into my soul rather than just reading a book or listening to a guru or thinking that's what I need to do because everybody says so. It actually had time last year through the Tree of Life in Arizona and Mount Madonna Center, and spending time with doing what is my gift, which is healing people with food.
Absolutely. And
just allowing it to integrate. Because before that, years before that, I was a chef in France, and I basically was asked to be a chef because I cooked a lovely meal for a friend that lived in Paris when I was in grad school. And she said, well, what are you doing for the rest of your life? And I said, well, I didn't have anything really planned. Luckily, I'm starting to not try to control everything. And so off I went, and I really cooked my way through a French cookbook because I'd been to a Cordon Bleu for a little bit of training and here and there through my family life and all. But I had to refine those skills for people that came and paid a lot of money to have this lady cook for them. So it just happened naturally, like a natural path. I followed everything that felt good and did everything that felt good and didn't do the other things anymore. It didn't have to be a big right or wrong or good or bad. It was just from the heart.
Intuition.
Yeah, so from France, 2 years of butter, red wine, and all those lovely things. I went to Indonesia and to Sri Lanka, and I taught English in Korea through cooking.
Wow.
So things began to kind of naturally pull out. Butter pulled out. Levels of breads and wines and all those sauces with white flour and white sugar and all that began to pull out naturally. And I sort of knew that. You just know that. Your body knows that. And then you begin to wake up, and you watch people around you wake up. And you watch them transform when you just place a plate in front of someone that has what God created for them to eat, instead of kind of goofy, overly mashed, overly combined, white flour, white sugar, gray, brown, white, green things that sparkle, and smoothies that give life. And so everything just sort of happened naturally. It wasn't that I became anyone's student. I just became a student of the heart and the soul and nature that's surrounding me here. Green. It's all green.
It's the predominant color on the planet, right?
Yeah, and everybody in America, I was working a lot in America too, wants to be lean, and they want to be really healthy. They want to lose weight. A lot of people that come here, that's all they really think about is losing weight, but there's so much more to it. And when you get into green and bright and clean food, that's what you become.
Yeah.
Because you're not only what you eat, you're what you are. What you eat eats.
Yeah.
So if you're in a clean place with clean water, clean air, clean dirt, believe it or not, clean dirt,
Yeah, absolutely.
then you will be so.
Yeah, that's right. And the dirt's where the good bacteria comes from. And that bacteria, as we ingest that bacteria goes right in. So if the soil is good, then your internal soil will be good, if that's what you're eating. Yeah. Well, that's amazing. You worked for an ashram, too, didn't you, there for a little while?
Yeah, I spent time about a year and a half in an ashram, and that was part of the process that kind of deconstructed my idea of how to control the world. After being a suburban housewife and bringing up children in the best way I knew how,
Sure.
and being a Catholic minister and a lot of things where there was a lot of dogma, I kind of got just automatically deconstructed because I walked in an ashram for a yoga class and didn't leave for quite a while. I swept floors and watched what was happening with wide open eyes, like I was like a baby. I'd never seen these things, and this kind of dedication to their daily practice. And I was never before just standing by to watch these things. I always, before when I was a housewife and all, I had to control things and make things right and make things pretty and make things look shiny on the outside. I just watched how they naturally shined from their practices. I would just chop carrots next to the person that was cooking for everyone, and I learned Indian cooking through kind of osmosis. There were no recipes, there were no books, there was just these natural people that knew this from their lineage, a lineage of spirituality and a lineage of feeding people with the Ayurvedic balance. So I learned that just, and of course I read books after because I became really interested in it.
Sure.
And I went for more training. But when I went for training, I always found out that whoever these people were, I had sort of met them all or knew them all in a kind of a deeper way, just naturally. So it was always very interesting that I kind of flipped things.
And this is where you learned the Ayurvedic type cooking, right? And let me tell you, she can make a mean kuchari, right? Kuchari. You know, hey, kitchery, hey, who knows what it is, but it is fantastic, really. And people, the theme of what people say about your cooking is that they could feel the love in all the food that they ate here, that all the retreats that came here, they could feel that, you know. And of course, that's what we teach here at Farm of Life is this consciousness and the heart from the inside out, right?
Yeah.
So that's what it is. They could feel that vibration. Right, and it, you know,
and we witnessed the love too. Just all the preparation that Mary put into preparing for the menu for a retreat, and just making sure that even if it was a cooked food retreat, that there was all this healthy food ingredient, and they were getting exposed to wonderful raw food recipes as well as, you know, the Ayurvedic dishes. And you took us around the globe, you know. You took us to Morocco and Ireland and back again.
Tell us a couple of dishes. Some things that you made here.
Cooking, I guess if there's a proof of anything, when you cook and you heal with cooking and you give everything that is you into your meal to serve another, you're really showing or proving that you can have it all. There's no reason why you can't have everything in life. There's nothing standing between you but different things that you might have in your monkey mind.
Absolutely.
So by being free to express myself here while I've been in this beautiful place, Finca de Vida, free to do these things, I've shown others, every single person I've touched here has seen the possibilities through eating, through being served.
Truly amazing. Especially a lot of people that come here and they're transitioning and they're not keen on being 100% raw.
Yeah. And
one of the things I have to say that I learned while you were here is that, you know, you really don't have to be 100% raw, but the people that's making the cooking, yourself here at Farm of Life, if the love, right, because everything's just energy, we always talk about that, if the love is in the food, then that cooked food can't be detrimental to your health.
Well, there you go. And none of us are truly 100% anything but who we were born to be.
Exactly.
And most of us are still in the process of unfolding that. So we're all here together on this journey, and we invite you to come and join us because we're family here, and we have everything that you need, and we'll share everything that we have with you.
I love this lady.
I know. I'm so sad you're leaving.
She is a member of the family forever. You know, I mean, she's coming back next season for us, but it doesn't really make a difference whether you're here or not. You're here in spirit always.
Always.
The spirit of Mary will live here at the Farm of Life. It's really been a great experience.
Hey Mary, what were some highlights for you this past 6 months here in Costa Rica and at the
lots of
farm?
Gosh, there's been so many highlights. Border runs alone, going to Panama, and being on a deserted beach in Bocas del Toro, and finding my own starfish to be a friend of, and squishing so many nonis with my feet that any little cuts that were on my feet would heal overnight. You've got to see the nonis over here. It's amazing. And then the people, the healers that just come out of the woodwork to this place. First night I was here, they were having a potluck or a raw luck or a fruit luck, all of that at once. And people came barefoot out of the jungle. Oh, hello. And they'd have a little bag of goodies and strew it along on a plate, and it'd be gorgeous, and they'd tell what it was and what it would do for your body. And then a lovely girl came from another farm next door, and then a carload of people from another place. Wow! And they had websites and raw this and fresh that and farms, and this street that we're on, called the Tinamaste Road, has everything you could ever want. Every kind of farm, every kind of product, medicinal honey, horses to ride, waterfalls to walk through. It's just amazing. I haven't even scratched the surface. I've just begun. I'm new at this. Yay, come on.
It's a real magical spot to heal. I'm glad you highlighted those things, because the road is like, it's like as you're driving to the paved road, that 7 kilometers is like magic. It's like being in a movie.
Yeah.
Right? You're just looking around going, wow. I mean, it's
Avatar.
What's
and
going
it's
on.
like
It's like a big avatar.
The Diamante waterfall, which is a 600-foot drop, is like the guardian. You know, it's like sitting over us, just over this valley, just gracing us.
And the intentions of Jody and Brian are the guardian on this end of the road, because this is actually the end of the road.
We are at the end of
this
the road.
Magical road ends on Jody and Brian's property, so it ends with the full heart, the full intentions that they've had since birth that ended up in this property. And the people that I meet, like last week, we met a young couple at yoga that are trying to establish themselves in the area, and they said they'd give us a ride home. And as they entered the border of this property, they both looked around and smiled and said, wow, this place is amazing. So something different happens here than can just happen without this kind of intention. Sure, God creates all this beautifully. Divine has given everything we need right here. These trees, the variety of birds, the variety of flowers, the variety
butterflies,
of wild edibles alone that you can eat here. But when you come on a property that's fully intended to be a part of your life, you change instantly. In small ways, it just begins to happen. You don't have to do anything. Just show up.
Yeah, the energy's really different here on the farm. It's very transforming and healing, that's for sure. And that's been the feedback from our guests and from everyone. What's Mary up to next? I know you're heading out. You know, you've got your house sitting for a little while in San Jose.
I have a great friend, lives in a beautiful house in San Jose, and I met her at Mount Madonna Center in California, where we chop carrots next to each other.
Wonderful.
So I'm doing her a favor, and she's doing me one, because I get a nice month to kind of integrate everything that's happened and make my plan for whatever's next. I'm wide open.
Nice. So if anybody out there, really, if anybody needs a vegetarian, vegan, raw food chef, or a health coach, right?
Yes.
You're a health coach as well.
Yes.
You've got your certification and your degree from, I think it's ITT, right?
It's IIN.
IIN.
Integrative Institute of Nutrition,
that's how much I know.
New York. Yes.
IIN.
Last year.
Okay. Yeah.
And Mary,
so
you prepared like a recipe book.
Yes, I have a recipe book available if anybody'd like it.
All right, they can just contact you by email or contact us, and we'll make sure Mary gets your.
Please do. CleanCuisineChef@gmail.com.
Clean Cuisine Chef.
@gmail.com. So if you want any kind of health coaching or anything,
Oh,
foods prepared.
A great connection for a season of cooking wherever you are, a retreat center, a camp. I've run a spa, a wonderful healing spa in the Midwest for 2 years. I've run a chateau in France for 2 years. I ran a school in Korea, so I've got a lot of possibilities, and I know you do too. So just let me know.
Yeah, absolutely. Please, hopefully there's a taker out there, because she is absolutely special and will absolutely vouch for her. You'll have an amazing experience. at whatever it is.
And Mary's going to be back next December.
Yes, she
to
is.
Support us through our next retreat
Yes.
season, next dry season. We're going to host about 10 retreats here, as well as just guests through Christmas and New Year's. And all of those guests are going to be treated by Mary and her phenomenal
we'll be very busy.
cooking.
Come on along.
Mary, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Really,
thank you.
That's just an amazing experience. I'm glad you've graced us with your presence here, and then hopefully you'll grace us many seasons to come.
Thank you for your grace.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, we love you.
Love you too.
See you,
Bye,
Farm Life
everybody.
See
family.
ya.